I think when you can demonstrate the reuse of data, it really encourages a wider adoption across the organisation.
Hello and welcome back to our video series. We have been talking about best practices to use while implementing API-led integration projects using MuleSoft. In our previous episodes, we touched upon topics like how do you get started, how do you set up governance, reusability, and security. I'm back here with Dan today, and today we will touch upon enablement, adoption, and scalability. Welcome, Dan.
Hi, Vikram.
So, while we've been talking about API-led economy and API-led integration, we know a lot of businesses understand the value it brings to their business by integrating their processes and data. But the challenge still remains on how do they encourage adoption. What have you experienced with your customers on this?
I think it's really key that there's adoption from the top down.
Okay.
It's imperative that CIOs act as like a trailblazer when trying to roll out technologies that are of this type and nature in terms of an integration platform. When moving into delivery mode, we frequently run sprint demos and feedback sessions with our business users. It's important to remember that an integration platform is not the shiny, nice kind of user front end application that business users can touch and feel. And I think it's really important that we continue to educate and enable those business users to ensure that they really understand and appreciate the value that a system like MuleSoft, for example, can bring in terms of acting as connecting glue between back-end systems, cloud applications, and really connecting all of those data and processes together.
Okay, so sorry to interrupt you. You just mentioned enablement there. I think that's what we hear quite a lot, where it's difficult to find the skill set, it's difficult to find people, it's difficult to encourage cross-skilling within the organization. So how should businesses go about enablement?
I think we touched on this in one of the previous sessions. I think the key thing that we've found is to start small. Don't be afraid to try POCs, proof of concepts, to try out different ideas. Try and identify a small project that can deliver a huge amount of business value. We've recently been working with one of our customers on a project to unlock data from their Salesforce CRM platform. And as a part of executing that project, which has really surfaced some critical business data to one of their end users, we've found an immediate opportunity to get reuse out of that data for another one of their departments internally. I think when you can start to surface critical business data and other departments get a sniff of what that data is that they can potentially tap into, it's amazing how many different departments will come forward in trying to access that data. I think when you can demonstrate the reuse of data and through APIs effectively, it really encourages a wider adoption across the organisation. And at the end of the day, if you can reuse this type of capability and minimise maintenance overhead and manual effort in trying to maintain static lists of that type of data, then it's a win-win across the organisation, and it really encourages that adoption.
Okay, so we discussed previously how do you get started, how do you choose a good technology platform, how do you set up governance and naming conventions and promote reusability, and we today talking about how do you encourage adoption and enablement. So let's say you've done all that, you've done POC or a MVP, whatever you like to call it. How do you then scale it across the organization or even partner organizations?
Yeah, I think it's as I've just touched on, you have to ensure that you can reuse everything that you are looking to build, and you should always approach a design with reuse in mind.
Okay.
Working with technologies like MuleSoft, you have the perfect framework there to create a reusable network of APIs. We've mentioned before an API-led economy, and the whole concept of building out an application network of 3 layers for systems, processes and experience as well. Everything should be built with the ability to plug and play systems. You know, systems change over time, applications change over time, and you don't want to be locked in to a design which tightly couples you to those systems. So you should be able to do that with minimal effort, and I think if you're always challenging yourself at the outset around reusability, it will set you up for success further down the line. And to ensure that you can scale even faster, leverage technology that continuous integration brings you, leverage those type of frameworks, automate as much as possible, because you really want to be focusing your time on the build itself and adding value through the build, and not wasting time on tasks and activities that you'll be carrying out repetitively. Automate as much as possible throughout the whole delivery life cycle.
Okay, all right, thank you very much. So we have discussed, if you want to cash in on API economy, you need to encourage adoption in the organization. Reusability is the key, and CIOs need to act as trailblazers. Thank you very much for joining us today. Next, we will be talking about what not to do.